podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Bien sûr, y a la belette, autocritique parfaite, mais ça reste correct. Pas d'idée abjecte, c'est pour faire la fête. Voilà comment Mano avance sans se prendre la tête.
Chante dans le loup, le renard et la belette. Chante dans le loup et le renard chanter. Chante dans le loup, le renard et la belette. Chante dans le loup et le renard chanter. Mano viendra, les gars, Mano viendra. C'est à ce moment-là qu'il faut lever les bras. Mano viendra, les gars, Mano viendra. C'est à ce moment-là qu'il faut lever les bras.
Ah, tranquille, j'arrive et je me pose. Non, surtout pas de clause. Sur ce tempo tribal, j'ai envie de poser des proses. Tu connais le renard, mec, tu connais la belette. C'est moi qui fais cet oratoire, je suis le loup, c'est net.
Paul, so look, we need to talk about what has happened in the last week, don't we? Then we'll get onto the European stuff.
Yeah, so we're going to do some United chat first. So if you're here purely for the Euro chat, just skip ahead 10 minutes or so.
I wonder how many people are here purely for the Euro chat.
We get a handful of people that don't normally listen to the podcast that get to enjoy us in the summer every other year.
So, Zlatan has finally arrived, the biggest secret in football, not. And Henrik Mkhitaryan. Well, you said you've been practicing that name. How'd you pronounce it?
Well, not so much practicing as listening to a pronunciation guide. Mkhitaryan, apparently. Mkhitaryan, in fact. Sorry. I was concentrating so hard on the bit that I got the second part wrong. But yeah, I think the Rantcast official pronunciation might be Mkhitaryan, just to avoid patronising anyone or getting anything wrong.
I have to say, I'm looking forward to Wayne Rooney trying to pronounce that one with his scouse.
He's definitely going to call him Mickey, which is what Mino Raiola calls him. The thing is, I've seen lots of people amusingly misspelling his name as if to say, oh, it's impossible to learn this man's name, can't spell it. I just think he speaks 6 languages. Learn to spell his name. It's not that hard.
Yeah. I have to say, I wrote the word Midtjylland about 50 times in the past season. I still couldn't get it right.
I know how to spell Midtjylland for the rest of my life. There's no way I'm ever going to forget it.
Yeah, very good. Well, he's arrived. Let's talk about him in a second. Very exciting signing. Ibrahimovic. We spoke briefly about him before, kind of...
Yeah. What did you say, Ed? He won't get 15 goals in the Premier League?
I think something like that. Yeah, I think that's what I said. I suppose I ought to, back my own kind of, hubris there.
I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable to suggest he's definitely not going to get 50, is he?
No.
As he did last season.
No, he's definitely not going to get that many in England, and he will suffer for the lack of pace, I think, a little bit. But, if they put the right team around him and bringing a right-sided player in, or I'm going to assume that Mickey's going to play there, is certainly going to help, right? And so we'll see.
So I think there's 2 options, isn't there? One is to play Martial left, Rashford right, and Mkhitaryan at 10. The other is to swap Rashford and Mkhitaryan or play someone else at 10.
Yes, that would mean dropping Rooney or playing Rooney as one of the 2 holding players. I don't really see it.
So your basic working premise is that Rooney at 10 is going to be the initial plan for Mourinho?
Basic working premise, yeah. I mean, obviously he's very bad there, so we'll see how long that Mourinho actually sticks with that one. I mean, the thing is... Mkhitaryan can certainly play at 10, but he doesn't often play at 10. He plays wide, left or right, most of the time, and he's very, very good there. And he cuts in well, and he's very creative force, and he's not a touchline hugger by any means. But we'll see. He could play there. I suspect that we'll start the season with Martial left and Mkhitaryan right, and Ibrahimovic through the middle and Rashford on the bench. Could be wrong.
It was going to be very interesting to see how quickly Rooney gets kind of drilled out of that team, because I don't think it can be long now. Yeah,
before we started this podcast, we said we probably wouldn't talk about England very much because the download on that has been done by every media outlet on the planet. Mm-hmm. But Rooney in midfield against Iceland. My God.
Yeah.
I mean, he has had a decent tournament. Yeah. He was all right for 3 England games, and then it was just abysmal. I mean, he can trap it like closer than 5 yards, could he?
No, there's that Vine doing the rounds of, I think, 3 bits of miscontrol in a row, and it's obviously a Vine, so it's 6 seconds. It's unfair to judge a person's performance, but rarely are they that informative as that one is. It's so kind of indicative of exactly what his performance was like. I think he was really excellent against Wales in particular. That was like probably his best game of the tournament. And I think the key takeaway for United, there's two key takeaways. One, if a midfield's ever going to press, we can't play him. And two, he's going to have to be managed much more sensibly in terms of squad rotation, because one of the reasons he was terrible against Iceland is because he played 3 games in a week the prior week.
Well, and the other thing we can take away is that he's better at 8 than 10.
And he's
not that great at 8.
Yeah, that's a big problem to solve. So Zlatan, I don't know whether it was just the amount of build-up to the transfer and the fact that it came as no surprise at all when it arrived. But I haven't, and I just haven't got any jazz from him arriving, and I kind of thought I would have, and I sort of feel a bit bad that I don't really feel super like, oh, Zlatan's here. I think that I was feeling that way, but it's kind of died off. I wonder whether it's just Di Maria, Falcao, Schweinsteiger. You know, we've had a lot of disappointment from our big name signings recently.
Yes, that's very true. And he had a very poor 2016, Euro 2016, didn't he?
Yes.
Very, very poor,
yes.
right? So, I mean, he's coming off the back of a fantastic season for PSG. So, in a good team, he'll still score goals. If United is still struggling to create chances, which, you know, I'm going to assume that's not the case under Mourinho. For all the baggage that Mourinho attracts and the kind of reputation for defensive football, he's actually look at the record of all his teams. They all score quite a lot of goals. So I'm gonna assume he gets plenty of chances and he'll do all right. But he's going to be 35 during the season,
and in October, I think. I think I will get very excited about a front four of Martial, Rashford, Zlatan, Mkhitaryan. I think then I start getting, that sounds really exciting, because then Zlatan is really occupying, you know, defenders are really going to have to think about Zlatan in a way they just don't with Rooney, because of his physical presence, his ridiculous level of technical ability. That would mean a lot of space for Martial and Rashford if they're playing on the two flanks coming inside, or Mkhitaryan. This is a lot of space. If it's Rooney and Zlatan as an effective front two, with Rooney kind of dropping all over the shop, that's a bit less exciting, because then you've got real mobility problems through the middle of the team, especially when you look at our central midfield options.
Yes, and that's never really been the case with a Mourinho front two before, right? They've always been quite dynamic, even with Inter, who probably the most defensive of his teams. He had Gabriel Milito up front, who's just a very willing runner. So yeah,
and they weren't. I mean, Inter. You say they were his most defensive team, but I mean, that's really one game, isn't it? That they played like that.
Well, yeah, they also didn't score anywhere near the amount of goals he scored with Real Madrid or Chelsea.
Right.
Look, anyway, it's already shaping up to be a better summer than the 3 previous, isn't it? United have got 3 deals in early. I assume there's going to be some more to come. We could do with a central midfielder, you know, given Schweinsteiger, he's had a sort of mixed Euros, hasn't he? And but now got a knee injury again.
Has he? I didn't see that. Is that since...
Yeah, he's going to miss the semis.
Yeah. Oh no, really?
You'll be pleased to hear.
I guess. Well, I don't want to be disrespectful to Basti, but it's not the worst thing in the world if he plays, is he? Is it? I did not see that he'd been injured. That is really, really sad.
I wonder if he got injured taking that penalty.
It was like, what? No, you can't. Even Germans can't cope with staying at Man United. Matteo Darmian missed his, of course, but yeah, we'll come back to that particular remarkable penalty shootout. So Mkhitaryan, Ed.
Yeah.
How much of him have you seen?
Plenty, yeah. I mean, he's very dynamic. He's a player who comes inside a lot. He creates a lot of chances. He scores plenty of goals. He's got one of the best take-on stats in Europe. You know, he beats a lot of people. So I think he's plenty of pace. So he's going to inject some pace into the front line. All positives, I think. You know, look, I'm not going to make out he's the next Messi or anything, but he's had 3 very good seasons. He's been very good at Dortmund, and you know, I think he'll be a very good signing for United. Obviously, he paid a lot of money, given that he's only got 1 year left on his contract, but who cares? And the only sad part about it, I guess, is that it probably means Juan Mata is off.
Yes, I mean, I suppose that's not so much Mkhitaryan arriving as Mourinho arriving that made that somewhat inevitable, didn't it? Although, you know, as we speak, nothing's been done, so I'm holding on to some vague hope that Juan Mata will stay.
Well, it'd be nice if they actually played him at 10 with some pace around him.
That's the thing. Like, I think people think that I want Juan Mata to stay because he's nice, but it's got nothing to do with that. I mean, that helps, but it's because, at his best, he's excellent. That's the thing. He's such an enjoyable player to watch. And I like players like that, so it's a shame. Big shame that he spent, if it is that he spent 2.5 years in absolutely dreadful United teams being played out of position, that's all we get of him. It seems a shame.
Real pity.
Yeah. So are you sticking with Zlatan gets 15 goals or less? Is that all competitions or Premier League only?
Let's just say Premier League only. I mean, we'll see. I do not expect him to be able to play the same kind of game that he did at Paris Saint-Germain. You know, United are not going to dominate every game and create as many chances as they did there. And he's not going to get space in behind at all. None. In fact, and he doesn't really have the pace to bother the kind of more physical nature of Premier League centre-backs. So, you know, we'll see. So I think he'll be very good, but I wonder whether he'll play with his back to goal a lot more.
So one of the things I wonder is a lot of people have been saying, oh, this is just a typical, you know, neo-Man United signing. It's the name on the shirt rather than the quality of player, and that it's not what the squad needs, and he's going to get in the way of young players. And I wonder about that, because I can see the logic of the argument that says Ibrahimovic is a signing which makes a bigger splash than it really warrants given his age. But it does seem to me like someone who scored 50 goals last season, albeit, I mean, he still scored in the Champions League. I think he got 1 in 2 in Paris Saint-Germain's Champions League games where they didn't have the same kind of dominance. And he scored a lot of goals for Sweden in qualifying against some okay teams. And, you know, it's a 1-year contract with the option to extend for a year on a free. I mean, obviously paying him massive wages, but it's not much of a gamble, is it, really?
No, and I don't think it will cause much damage unless he plays a lot of games and Marcus Rashford sits on the bench.
Right, yeah.
You know, and then that would be a great pity, but only if he plays a lot of games and doesn't score very many goals, and he's in there on reputation. I mean, of course it's a marketing signing in a way, and I'm certainly not buying the narrative that somehow he's going to teach young players. I mean, it doesn't seem like he's the coaching type to me. I'd be very surprised if he went into management afterwards. I mean, yeah, always wrong about these things. Some ex-players you never expect go into management, but it doesn't seem like he's that type. I don't think he's going to be hanging around on the training ground teaching young players how to do technical drills like Eric Cantona or anything like that, you know.
But Eric Cantona didn't teach them how to do training drills. He just did them, and the young players saw him doing them and copied him. And you know, there aren't a lot of serial winners in the United squad.
No, and that's very true, but I don't know what of his technique you copy. I mean, it's so much is kind of off the cuff, isn't it, with him? That I'm not sure you're going to turn Marcus Rashford into Ibrahimovic in any way. No, but, a very different game.
But you didn't turn David Beckham into Eric Cantona. You taught him what it means to be a winner, and you taught him what it means to work hard, and and what kind of drive you have to have, and all that kind of stuff. Eric Cantona didn't coach these kids; he was an example to them, and so maybe he can be too.
Maybe he can. I think we said the same thing about Michael Owen at some point.
Did we?
Well, no, not we. The Twitterati, the world out there, said the same thing. We certainly did not.
I'm not. Did anyone cite Michael Owen as a serial winner? I don't know. Maybe he helped Wayne Rooney with his.
I most definitely had that argument with people that Owen was a good example.
Maybe for what he taught Wayne Rooney about finishing. I seem to remember us having a conversation about that at some point. Anyway,
let's move on to the Euros.
Yeah, the Euros, the crazy Euros. It's been the round of 16 was a little tedious. There were some good ones in there, but overall it wasn't brilliant. But there were some fantastic quarterfinals.
Yeah, I think we can skip over most of the round of 16, can't we?
Oh, there's something that I do want to say, which is that we've had lots of Northern Ireland fans talk about us a bit more, and I do think that team did their country absolutely proud. And if I was a Northern Ireland fan, I would have been completely buzzing from how well they did this tournament.
Well, absolutely. Was it 1.5 million people in Northern Ireland?
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, incredible performance from one of Europe's smaller nations, and hadn't been at a major tournament since 1982. So, yeah, and a real team. We said this last time, actually.
Yeah, okay.
A real sense of togetherness, a real sense of team planning, some great individual performances. Johnny Evans, very good.
So good.
And just came up against a Wales side that was playing very well. They were definitely second best, Northern Ireland in the end.
Well, I mean, Chris Coleman, of course, said in the post-match interview that he thought that Northern Ireland had been the better side. Yeah,
I'm not sure I agree with him, but anyway, and they just didn't have enough really to bother Wales in the end, and very tight scoreline, of course.
And Republic deserve some praise as well. They really, really gave France a scare in that first half. France kind of just found a whole new gear in the second half, and that was the gear they spent the game against Iceland in, most of it. But in the first half, Ireland really had France rattled and forced Deschamps to make a bunch of changes. And then there's a couple of absolutely key individual errors at a time when it just looked like that team they looked dead on their feet by the end of it. But again, just deserve so much credit, I think.
They did. I mean, they had the bigger result of their campaign against Italy. I mean, albeit Italy had made quite a lot of changes, but fantastic result. I mean, I have no Irish roots. I did try and have a look to see if I could get an Irish passport after the other momentous occasion.
Jesus Christ! Yeah,
of the last 2 weeks. Yeah. None there. But I did jump up and punch the air when they scored against Italy because they well deserved it. It's a fantastic result from them, and they really did give France a game.
Yeah. So the quarterfinals then, they started badly, it's fair to say, with one of the tournament's worst games so far. Unsurprisingly, it featured two of the tournament's most disappointing teams, one of whom have frauded their fraudy way into a fraudulent semi-final berth.
My God. I mean, they're definitely the worst team in the semi-finals, definitely. Of course, on paper, they should be favourites to beat Wales. And they've got players at bigger clubs and obviously a world star in Cristiano. But they're definitely not playing well, are they?
So bad. I would like to, at this point, shout out to friend of the Rankcast at JSF_7, who's Portuguese and is very upset by everyone calling his team frauds, and asks the Rankcast, "Are we the fraudiest frauds to ever fraud?" I think Portugal might be. To be fair to them, of course, they've got results. That game against Croatia was weird. Croatia was so disappointing in that round of 16 game. And then in the first half of Poland-Portugal was rocking. End-to-end stuff. Lewandowski finally got off the mark in the tournament. It looked like it was on.
With a fine finish as well.
But as soon as 5 minutes of the second half had gone, both teams were like, right, pens. Pens? Should we play pens? Yeah, pens.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, really called off, didn't it, the game? Yeah, such a shame. And just one of those ones that you were praying it was going to end at 90. So, just really disappointing. Friday night, Wales versus Belgium. Anything but disappointing. What a performance from the Welsh.
I've got goosebumps thinking about it. I've got no Welsh relatives. I can't get a Welsh passport. I did live there for 3 years once. And I'm inordinately fond of Wales as a place, and I've got some lovely friends who are Welsh, and they were very, 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 very happy on Friday night. I mean, I want to just say at this point that once again, I reiterate my firm belief that if I was Belgian, Mark Wilmots would be my least favourite person in the world.
Right, because, I mean, look, they've had a lot of problems at the back, haven't they? And they definitely did not have their first choice back four out. But up front, I mean, they've so much individual talent that is just all over the place. You know, this is not a team at all. Incredible. I mean, you could put Chris Coleman in charge. You could put the managers of, half a dozen other teams at the Euros here, and they'd pull together a better team than Wilmots has done with Belgium. And they qualified fine, and their results over the last couple of years have them ranked second by FIFA and all of that. But this is a team less than the sum of its parts.
And it's just less than the sum of its parts in almost exactly the same way as it was in 2014. There's just no progress, the same mistakes made. Dembele, I don't know if Dembele was suspended or injured, but sat on the bench while Marouane Fellaini was brought on to deal with Welsh defensive set pieces at half-time.
Now, let's talk about Fellaini. And one of three Belgian players sent totally the wrong way by Hal Robson-Kanu. The Cruyff turn, a magical Cruyff turn. What did Rio say? He sent them out of the stadium. I hope they had tickets to get back in.
Yeah, that's what Rio said.
Just a beautiful. I mean, this guy's scored 5 goals last season for Reading in 35 games, and has got 5 in something like the same amount of games for Wales. Not a big goal scorer, but just a magical moment.
And he's done all that, like 5 goals for Reading last season, and he's just Cruyff turned a goal in a crucial game to get his country to the semi. I mean, magical story. That game started with that Nainggolan goal where you watch it and I think one of the co-commentators or maybe one of the pundits said you can't expect that. It's not great defending from Wales, but you can't expect to finish like that. And I'm thinking, it's Roger Nainggolan.
He's just done it in the last game, hasn't he? Yeah.
Literally exactly what you could expect. So that was a big disappointment for Wales, that was. I thought it was really shoddy, but they came back into it so well with Ashley Williams, who is from Smethwick, but like let's not be picky at this point. But Ashley Williams...
Well, I mean, there's quite a few English-born players in that team.
Yes, I can't talk. I'm claiming my French roots at the moment, and I was born in, Selly Oak, so I'm just another Ashley Williams, only not the captain of my country, and I didn't just score an amazing equaliser. Like, terrible defending from Belgium. What were they doing? Just leaving him with the freedom of Belgium. He's got as much of the freedom of Belgium as Tintin himself.
Yes, for the header. Just abysmal defending and, a great header, but far, far too easy and not the only chance he had either. And then the breakaway goal at the end. And that was a beautiful header as well, just a clipped cross and the classic Bobby Charlton-esque header across the face of the keeper.
I think we might need to talk... I mean, Joe Allen and Aaron Ramsey, neither of them have had good seasons at all. Both of them, I mean, Allen's...
No, I'd be tempted to call Aaron Ramsey a fraud.
But he's been magnificent in this tournament.
He's been very good, and he'll be missed in the semi-final, of course. And Joe Allen, I he's not the Joe Allen you see playing for Liverpool over the last 2 seasons, is he?
No, phenomenal, absolutely incredible. And Bale was a little quieter in this game, but still, like, the odd touch of absolute class. And, yeah, amazing. And I don't know if... I find that semi-final, should we just talk about that semi-final and what's to come? Yeah. I find that impossible to predict because, like you say, on paper, maybe you should say that Portugal are, clear favourites. None of the Welsh centre-backs play for the European champions, for example. They do have one of their players that plays for the European championships, but, but they're just so much more functional than Portugal as a unit. Portugal still seem really dysfunctional, and the only thing that makes me really question it is this: Portugal seem to have fluked their way this far, and they've got this enough quality to carry them over the line. Is it just because they haven't played anyone really good yet? Do Wales count as someone really good that they might play? Will Wales's team spirit and all that be enough?
Well, look, I think we can say that Portugal just aren't a very good team.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right, I don't think Wales will count as their first really good team they're playing. Although, I mean, that sounds a bit weird since Wales have played very, very well in all but the game against England. So yeah, I don't know how to call this one because Portugal have got enough individual talent to win this game. They've got obviously Ronaldo and Nani and Quaresma can come on, and he's made stuff happen in every game he's come on. And Moutinho through the mid. I mean, they've got names who haven't performed to the standards that you should expect. At the back, though, their right back's horrible. And the left back not much better. And Pepe he's actually hasn't been too melodramatic, but he's not that good either. And he's getting on a bit and playing his 6th game in 3 weeks. I think might, after playing 50 games for Real Madrid last season, I think that might be an issue when Bale gets to run at him, if he does get to run at him. And of course, Robson Kanu will make him run into the channels constantly. So Wales have definitely got a chance in this game, definitely. You just wonder how many moments of brilliance can Portugal come up with, because they're going to need to do that.
And the thing is, Wales would have a chance if they were playing Germany or France, the way they've been playing so far in this tournament. And they've obviously got, if you pick one of these semi-finals to take part in, you're going to want to be the other team in this semi-final, aren't you? Portugal would want to play Wales, Wales would want to play Portugal out of the teams that are left. But yeah, I would, oh my God, I would love it if Wales won. I would love it if Wales got to the final of this tournament. Just because, partly just because this Portugal team are so oddly unlikable, which maybe feels a bit harsh, but I was really disappointed when they won the shootout against Poland, and I have no idea why. I have no emotional investment in Poland particularly. But yeah, there's something about them. But the Wales team, they just seem like a very likeable team, and they're living a kind of dream moment.
They are, and it's not that long ago that they got spanked by Serbia 6-1, is it? And they got spanked by Sweden just before the European Championship, so they're having a great moment. There's a chap on Twitter, Steve Brown, Grey Badger 1261, who keeps poking me on Twitter saying, I think he thinks I'm an England fan because he keeps mocking my Englishness. He's also a United fan. So, Steve, I'm happy to say Wales have been fantastic and England awful.
Oh yeah, and Bale plus 11. I think in our preview show we said Bale plus 11 in a slightly Bale plus 10, in a slightly tongue-in-cheek manner.
See, that might help them get to the semi-finals of the Euros.
Yeah, they've got 12 players, Bale plus 11, yeah. There's a brilliant bit in the post-match interview. I mean, the scenes, the incredible scenes at the end of that game. But in the post-match interview, Chris Coleman he's asked, what would you say to any Welsh kids staying up too late to watch this? And he says something like, don't be afraid to dream. And it's a simple thing, but it's very moving when you really think about it.
And Welsh kids, stay off the skag, okay? It's not good for you.
And then he says, could you ever get a more kind of perfect encapsulation of the two of our approaches to life than the last 20 seconds of this podcast, Ed? And then he says, and don't be afraid to fail. I've had a lot of failures in my life. And he starts to then go on to say, I've had a lot of successes. And then he goes, well, and now I've had this, because he really hasn't had that many successes.
No, he's had no success at all.
But yeah, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So then the next, should we move on to the next one?
Sure.
Oh, yeah, it was the big one, right?
The big one.
Yeah, Germany against Italy, a massive, epic, classic international football tie. The kind of international football tie that I rang my dad before that game to tell him it was on, because he understands the concept of Germany versus Italy. Any game that might have happened in the 1966 World Cup, he can understand the concept of. Otherwise, he's a bit baffled by all these newfangled countries.
These newfangled countries like Wales. Yeah. Wales created... Doesn't Welsh basically mean foreigner in Latin? I think I might be right in saying that. So, a very old country. Germany versus Italy, two teams that had sort of performed a little bit differently than many expected. I mean, Italy much better and Germany much more dysfunctional than at the 2014 World Cup. But they produced a good game. I quite enjoyed this one. I know it went to penalties, but I thought for a lot of the game they were actually having to go at each other, and it could have gone either way. Germany made a couple of odd substitutions. Draxler came on, couldn't affect the game at all, could he? Italy ended up sitting back more as the game wore on, and then it went to the penalty shootout, and one of the most laughable penalty shootouts you'll ever see.
Just the gosh darn best. Just like one of those. This game, like, I saw some people say this game was boring.
No,
and I was not bored for 5 minutes in this game. I thought both teams played with like kind of ferocity and the tactical match of the fact that Love switched to three at the back really worked. It really worked because it meant that they had two forwards up against the three at the back of Italy and gave them something to think about.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I mean, it had all the trappings of this is going to be a mess at the back, but I think that was our Englishness coming through. Because, you can imagine if an England team had gone from playing four at the back to three at the back in a quarter-final of a European Championship, it wouldn't have ended well.
Well, no, listen, when we did it in the second round of the World Cup in 1990, it was very effective. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's about the last time an Englishman's been comfortable playing three at the back as well. So, no, you're right. I mean, they matched up against Italy and it was they were very good, Germany, or at least it worked well for them, and they were able to press Muller forward. In a way that he's not been able to really impact games, has he, through this championship? And that's the thing, some of the players you really expected to impact games haven't quite done it for Germany. The one who did in the game against Italy was Mesut Ozil, who was able, because of that system, just to drop into this hole between the lines and then caused Italy all sorts of problems by doing that. Yeah,
there were periods of the game where it was just like Ozil time, really big time. You can imagine Arsenal fans watching this and going, see, we told you, although he did miss his penalty in the penalty shootout, worth pointing out. They haven't got rid of the Arsenal out of him altogether. Who are we to talk? But anyway, I think it's also a really good solution to their problem with fullbacks, because they don't have brilliant fullbacks anymore, do they, at the moment, Germany?
They don't.
That Fiorenzi block, I mean, this is what I was going to say. There's just these moments of pure international football tournament-ness about that game. Like, I'll remember that Fiorenzi block for many, many years. Maybe not quite as many years as I remember Zaza's penalty for.
Yeah, well, let's come on to the penalty shootout, because
a penalty shootout.
I mean, you already mentioned Schweinsteiger blazed his over, Darmian, a crucial penalty saved, but Zaza hadn't touched the ball in the game. Came on as a specialist taker. What on earth was he doing?
So I've watched this so many times, and it's pretty clear that he was trying to force Neuer into a move, and he just realised at some point, right, he's not going to move. I'm going to actually just have to kick this now, or I'm going to look really shit. Oh, no, I've missed it. He sent Neuer the wrong way, actually. If he'd got it on target, he'd have scored. I mean, if for some reason you're listening to this and you haven't seen that, move heaven and earth to see it. He does a kind of, like a horse doing dressage, jumping from foot to foot, like he's doing Irish dancing. I mean, literally, have you ever seen anything like? I've never seen anything like it.
No, I mean, I have to say, I guess I'm a bit old-fashioned about this. All this stuttering before the penalty is taken, it's often a sign of a penalty about to be missed, isn't it? No, I've never seen a penalty taken like that. I have no idea what it was on. Just bizarre. Even if he'd scored, you'd think, well, it's not a technique that anyone's going to start adopting, is it?
the horse dressage run up. The Schweinsteiger thing, right? So obviously, he's been at Man United and we've ruined him. That's what we do. You can't take penalties if you play for us. You've seen our last couple of penalty shootouts; they've been among history's worst. But before the penalty shootout, there's a heads and tails with the ref, and I was watching it. And this has been widely commented on the day afterwards. But while watching it, I remember thinking, wait a minute, the referee seems to be asking Schweinsteiger which end he wants to kick towards. And Schweinsteiger kind of looks and points at the Italian end. And the referee looks at him like, Are you sure that's what you want to do? And Schweinsteiger's like, yeah. So he did miss the penalty, but he did pull off unbelievable next level mind games. Whereas like somehow he knew that making the Italians look at their own would make them like feel too much pressure or something. Germany are like, not only are we going to win the penalty shootout, we're going to win it on your home turf.
Yeah, there's all a bit World War II about that, isn't it? I mean, yeah, I guess so. But then he lost his cool taking his penalty and skied one. So... Yeah, and it's almost as if he didn't believe what had happened himself because he walked away from the penalty kind of scratching his head. There was no kind of on his knees crying about it. He was like, doesn't compute.
Wait a minute, I'm sure I'm German. I think I might be the most German man, and yet here this very German man, has missed a penalty.
Yeah, and, to get all crude about it, surely only the Germans could miss. What did they miss? 3 or 4 penalties and still win a penalty shootout.
Brilliant. But the amazing thing about it is like all their 5 penalty takers, their assigned penalty takers, they hardly score one between them. Basically, I think they missed 3 each in the 5, scored 2 each. But then when the kind of like second string 6 onwards lads step up. Bang, top corner, bang, top bins, no problem.
Yeah, and I was sure Boateng was going to miss, though.
Yeah.
You look at his face, the tension in his face at that moment, I thought, oof, but it's right in the corner.
How did we not talk about Boateng, who, talking of penalties, gives away the most surreal penalty you'll ever see given away?
I mean, you can't even explain the fact that his arms were so high because he's trying to get leverage to jump. That doesn't make any sense. He's up there trying to block a line out or something. It's really odd.
So 2 things. One, Vialli said in the punditry, which I think was actually right, that because he kind of barges into the player in front of him, his arms kind of go up instinctively in that gesture that defenders make to placate referees to say, I'm not fouling him, look, ref. But it was a very bad time to have that instinct kick in because it just stuck his arms out as if he was doing Titanic stuff.
And Bonucci scored the penalty brilliantly. The first penalty he'd ever taken, the second penalty he'd ever taken, he missed.
Why did Italy, the national football team of Italy, send a centre-back who's never taken a penalty to take their penalty? Why did that happen? Why was that a thing that happened?
Because the alternative was to send on Simone Zaza to special teams.
The other thing that Boateng did was after the game, which I'm sure this wouldn't have happened if they'd lost, but after the game, his Instagram likes are just all memes of him doing the stupid arms in different settings, because obviously it's the internet. He's been put into a variety of settings.
Oh, a couple of good memeable moments when they're Boateng and Zaza's penalty.
Honestly, that... You know, I'm not exaggerating when I say I watched that Vine 15 times in a row at least. Just seeing something new in it every time. It's mesmerising. The other Vine I've watched a lot of is the Hal Robson-Kanu goal, just to watch Fellaini. Just the moment where Fellaini realises what's happened, because Fellaini's like charging in the direction that Robson-Kanu's about to move into, and then suddenly it's like, no, it's not where the action is, Marwan.
His brain suddenly works out what's gone on, and by the time it does, it's in the back of the net.
And to be fair to Fellaini, I think not expecting Hal Robson-Kanu to do a Cruyff turn in the box is it's like a reasonable assumption to draw, isn't it? Anyway. Germany through. I think ultimately they were the better side than Italy. Italy's lack of bite in the final third ultimately did for them. Yeah. Told in the end. In the end, it's been a good tournament for a team that no one really expected to do anything, because this is definitely not the best Italian team there's ever been. Germany will play France. That ought to be a bit tasty. France, who finally come into the tournament. I mean, I don't know how to judge this game against Iceland. I mean, France were good in the second half against the Republic of Ireland, and then they took this into the Iceland game and completely destroyed Iceland in the first half. Of course, it's they really should have continued playing, because France won one half and Iceland won the second half. So, yeah, it really should. And so, they've got some real momentum. But is that because they were playing a couple of bobbin sides? I mean, Republic of Ireland definitely weren't bobbins, were they? They tired, but they really worked hard. And actually, I think it speaks well of France's kind of... The ceiling of France's capabilities in this tournament, it speaks well of them that at half-time in a game where they wouldn't necessarily have expected to be behind, I don't even know if they were behind at half-time, but they wouldn't have been expected to be in the position they were in, certainly. And then Deschamps made some absolutely key changes, which were the exact right changes at the right moment, in stark contrast to England, say. I think that really speaks volumes for the ceiling of France's potential in this tournament, because Deschamps was able to get the best out of his players. And then, Iceland, I mean, you could say that, well, okay, Iceland conceded an early goal and that was them done. But of course, that definitely wasn't the case against England, was it? Where they conceded much earlier and immediately hit back.
I don't know if France got the tactics right, because they pressed Iceland very, very high, and we saw that Iceland just weren't able to cope with using the ball in midfield. Really should have gone long much earlier, and it would have taken some pressure off and maybe create some chances with an unfamiliar back four from the French. But they were brilliant in the first half. France, they moved the ball really well, created a lot of chances and took them all. And then Iceland won the second half.
I was really worried about Conte being missing from that game, because you'd think, but Pogba and Matuidi were majestic. Like, this is the same thing that happened in the second half, that actually Conte being off, the second half against Republic of Ireland. Conte's been very good in this tournament when he's played, but allowing more space for Pogba and Matuidi to operate has kind of benefited them. Pogba was just magnificent, wasn't he? He was excellent in that second half, and he was against Ireland, and he was excellent in the first half here.
He's dead to me.
He's dead to you, but he's coming for 100 million. So they say.
Whatever.
It's not going to happen, is it? Like, I can't. Lots of people are kind of getting excited about this because there's lots of reports that United are making serious endeavours, but it just isn't. I would love to be eating these words in a few weeks' time, but it just feels like, if you were him, is this honestly really the career move for him right now?
No, the career move is to go to Real Madrid, which is what is likely to happen.
And even if that's not going to happen this summer, then stay at Juve for another year and then go to Madrid next year.
It's time for him to move, I think. I mean, Juve, great sides, won 4 Serie A titles in a row. They're not going to win the European Cup, are they? Or, they probably shouldn't win the European Cup. Italian football's not in a wonderful state at the moment.
No, and I guess
Real Madrid makes a lot of sense. Of course, if he's up for a sort of team building challenge.
It would just seem an odd one, but I would be incredible, because I think he's just obviously a magnificent player. And I think it was in the first half against Republic of Ireland that Gary Lineker tweeted, "Is there a more overrated player in world football than Paul Pogba?" And I was just baffled. I really like Gary Lineker. I think he gets a lot of things right about football, but I just find that a very odd opinion to hold, really.
Yeah, no, it's very odd. Ryan Giggs called him the complete player. Ryan Giggs, who also laid bare United's strategy about Renato Sanchez and said they'd been watching him for months.
Yes.
And was he worth the 35 million, he was asked? Absolutely 100% was the answer. Yeah, so I think exposing the fact that United didn't make the bid because Louis didn't want him.
So I can't believe we did 10 minutes of United chat at the beginning of this game, and all very well Zlatan and Mkhitaryan coming, but that the biggest news that has happened in United, really, although it was kind of inevitable that it was going to happen, we should give due respect to a man who's been at United for 21% of the club's history. Chris Folks from Goal.com tweeting that out. 21% of the time that Man United has been in existence, Giggs has been there as an academy player or a first team player or a member of staff. 29 years. 1987. I was 10, Ed. I was 10 when Giggs arrived at this club.
An incredible player for United, and an incredible career at the club. Everything that Ferguson did to steal him off City has paid dividends, hasn't it? Just to rub that bit in again. I think you mentioned on Twitter that we'd had a conversation in 1990. I don't remember this conversation where I was raving about Ryan Giggs and he might be better than Lee Sharp.
That's what you said. I remember it so vividly.
Yeah, no, of course I'd seen Giggs in the academy, so we used to go early and watch some of the games. So, and I also knew quite a bit about Lee Sharp's lifestyle from some inside sources.
Yeah, but it was I just remember hearing you saying, because Lee Sharp was like, this was maybe before Cantona's peak. Oh, no, it was before Cantona even got there, in fact. So Lee Sharp was definitely my favourite United player at that time. And, like, the idea that somebody could come and be better than Lee Sharp was just, like, mind-boggling to me. So I remember you saying that. And I remember, I mean, you were there at his debut, right?
Yeah.
Do you happen to remember it by any chance?
Well, I feel like I do, because I feel like I remember him, because I know where I was sitting, and I feel like I remember him coming off the bench and going off and playing basically on the right wing. But, you know, it's so long ago, and clearly I'm at an age where Alzheimer's might be kicking in soon, so I might just be remembering watching clips of him on the TV.
So I remember that, because it was the first United match I went to was when we lost 4-1 to QPR, and the only good thing from a United perspective that day was Giggs, who didn't start. I think it was 92, so it would have been his first season. And New Year's Day 1992, and he just looked like electric, and everyone else looked half asleep.
Hungover,
yeah,
because there was quite a bit of drinking then. So
yeah,
yes, yeah.
So
yeah.
what are your very top Ryan Giggs memories? What's the best moments? I mean, leave out the stuff that's like, you know, the Arsenal goal or whatever.
Well, that's the moment, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, you know, the goal he scored at Tottenham, where he's bounced around the keeper and scored from an incredible angle. That was a great moment, not least because the entire Tottenham end was full of Reds, including me, who jumped up. Having been told under uncertain circumstances, if you jump up and if any away fans are found in this, you'll be ejected. They weren't going to eject 10,000 of us, I'll tell you that. So that was good. The goal, was it against QPR? Scored a very similar goal. He's gone on a run and danced around the keeper. That was great. I mean, just his transformation over the years from winger to midfielder, had a few disappointing years, and then his renaissance as a sort of, you know, elder statesman, central midfielder, schemer.
He was so good at that by the end.
He was very good at that. I mean, he lost quite a lot of his physicality, of course, you know, the blinding speed he used to have. But it translated very well into midfield. And I thought he became a very good midfielder. But there were doldrum years as well, you know, and quite a lot of frustration. He couldn't deliver a ball in his early years, and that was very true. You know, he's got very narrow feet was the excuse. A lot of injuries, of course, before they sorted that out. A lot of hamstring injuries. So, you know, some down moments, but a brilliant player for United. Obviously, he's got all these records. You know, I would like to remember him best as the guy who you know was bombing up and down that wing and taking on those players all those years, and you know it was fantastic. And it's a real shame he's not at the club anymore. Real shame. I mean, totally understand it from his point of view. Mourinho doesn't want to offer him the job. I think if he'd offered him assistant, he'd probably stayed. And so it might be good for him to move on. But of course, the odds on him actually coming back to United to manage are, you know, thousands to one.
The thing is, none of this is known. But if the kind of rumours of his behaviour over the last couple of years are accurate, it would be madness for Mourinho to have him there.
Oh, and I'm sure that's factored in. I'm absolutely sure. You know, the snake in the grass has been there, and when it mattered, he turned his back on Moyes and Louis, right?
Although in his statement, he says he's, you know, learnt so much over the years from Sir Alex Ferguson and has kind of been honoured to learn a lot over the last couple of years from Louis van Gaal as well. Literally just doesn't mention David Moyes' existence.
Which is fair enough, I think.
I suspect he probably betrayed David Moyes kind of slightly more hardcore than he ever betrayed Van Gaal, because there does seem to be
they tried to organise a coup against Moyes. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's basically been snubbed for the top job twice.
Yeah. And rightly so, obviously.
Rightly so. But what it means now is that in order to come back as United manager, he has to have a fantastic career, right? He has to be a great manager on his own terms, and he's got nothing to do with the fact that he's been at United for 30 years, because that didn't get him the job this time. So, and that's why the odds on him ever making it are very small.
The one thing that always slightly frustrates me about the conversation about Ryan Giggs is that because his longevity was so superhumanly remarkable, and his kind of one club man record is so, you know, it's so unique, and he is individually more successful than most football teams in the world in terms of trophies won and all that kind of stuff. In his career, he's amassed more trophies than most football clubs have. But I feel like people underestimate how utterly brilliant he was as a left winger at his best.
Absolutely,
like he was easily one of the best left wingers in the world.
Absolutely, completely, yeah. As good as everyone in that class of '92 cohort. Better than everyone in that class of '92 cohort. I mean, in different ways, obviously. Fantastic player, fantastic United man. It's going to be really weird to look at him on a different bench.
Yeah, really, out of everyone, he's the one that it's weird that he's gone. I mean, it was weird when Scholes went, obviously, but it's even weirder. This one's even weirder because he's had that a couple of years as, on staff. But it's the right thing for everyone. Everyone involved in this is making the right decisions. He's doing the right thing to leave. Mourinho's definitely doing the right thing not to have him on the staff. I think the only position that would have made sense on the staff would have been the in charge of one of the youth teams, because you learn something about actually managing that way,
Yeah, reporting into Nicky Butt, can't see
No.
it. There's a big digression. We've got a couple of semi-finals. We've sort of talked about Wales, Portugal. Germany, France could be an interesting one.
I mean, it's absolutely fascinating, isn't it? I don't even know who you make favourites for this game, because Germany have got some big issues. They've got some big problems to solve in midfield in terms of injuries, because Khedira's out. Mario Gomez is definitely out up front, which that's kind of a big loss to them because he's having a good tournament. And so maybe you have Thomas Müller up there, or maybe you bring in Goetze again, or some combination of the three of them with Ozil. That could work. Maybe you stick with three at the back and play those three in a triangle up front. That kind of makes sense. And it could definitely cause France some issues, because France are not exactly rock solid at the back, as we saw when they conceded 2 to Iceland.
I'd be really surprised if they play three at the back again. I think that was a tactical move against France. Maybe I mean, Hummels is out, right? So, maybe they want to protect themselves. I don't think so. We'll see, but yeah, they've definitely got some issues to solve, Germany. And France seem to have the momentum, and maybe that'll count in the end. They're certainly not going to get as easier ride through a defence as Iceland gave them, for sure. And we'll see which France turns up, the France that we've had for the last game and a half, or the France that we had up till that point. Because the France that we had up to that point, I'm not sure that they would have enough to beat this Germany side, and it might be in for a long night. The France that played against Iceland, if they can translate that into another level still, then you make them favourites to win.
I wonder whether he'll bring N'Golo Kanté back into the team, because it's been so effective having Matuidi and Pogba having all that room to run the show, and Griezmann's really come into his own since that happened as well. So I don't know whether he would do that. I mean, it kind of makes sense. You think the quality of the opposition, you need extra defensive resources, and that the centre-back partnership definitely needs some protection for France, which Kanté obviously would provide. But is that worth it to inhibit Pogba a bit and take up some of that space that he could otherwise use? I don't know. I think it's a very key decision.
And Germany because so many of their players on the bench, or their better players on the bench, are attacking players. Schweinsteiger's out, Khedira's out, Hummels is out, so their problem.
Oh, Hummels is out?
Yeah, well, he's suspended.
Oh, well, that's good. I mean, sorry, German friends. But yeah, that's very good news for France.
Yeah, and the big names are not there. In fact, they've got quite a few younger players and players not from the top clubs, defensive players on the bench. So could be a few surprises from Germany. Then again, we know how they're going to play, and they've got plenty of attacking talent to cause this French defence some problems.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to back a Welsh win and a France win, and both of those are hot decisions. I don't know what my head would say. I think it's very difficult to pick with your head in both of those games. I think you could both make good arguments for the games going either way with your head. But
yeah, I think I'm gonna say they both go to extra time. Portugal and France will
take
win.
that. Sorry, Welsh friends. So should we do some Rantcast questions before we finish up?
Yep, a couple, and then we'll bid the listeners farewell.
Okay. So friend of the show, Simon Stevens, Stephen Simon says, can at United Rant, that's you, Ed, have a few minutes on the actual consequences of Brexit for United? I'm assuming the answer is no one knows yet.
No one knows because we have no idea what it will mean for immigration policy and therefore work permits for EU players just yet. We do know that about 8% has gone off the pound versus the euro, so that's 8% on United's summer shopping bill.
Yeah. I saw someone saying, no, that doesn't matter because United are listed on the New York Stock Exchange. It's like, it doesn't mean they make their money in dollars.
No, exactly. Or most of the income's in pounds.
So yeah, the only immediate consequence is that the pound's worth less. So Paul Pogba will cost 110 million instead of 100 million.
Yeah, and that's United will hedge, right? So in the past they've reported losses from hedging, so they'll keep some cash in pounds and some in euros and some in and dollars, and that's very typical for a large organisation. But it does make the relative cost of European transfers more.
Yeah, and in the long run, there are lots of potential consequences, but the potential consequences to the country are so horrible that the potential consequences for United feel a little bit irrelevant at the moment. Bit of politics there for you. And you went super quiet, Ed. I can't believe you haven't backed me. Like, just leaving me out there on a limb.
No, I agree. I agree with you. I just wasn't going to push your left-wing agenda.
All right, let's talk football. At La False number 12 says, what was worth, Zaza's shoddy shuffle or Pointy Pella's perfectly pathetic penalty?
Oh, we didn't talk about that as well. Bigging it up to the keeper, giving it all the lip and then rolling it about 3 yards wide.
The thing is, because Pella's done so many Panenkas in tournament shootouts, he was telling Neuer, I'm going to do another Panenka here, and then to get it so badly wrong afterwards. But that doesn't even begin to compare with the sheer hilarity of Zaza's shoddy shuffle. Right, United need a goal in the last minute to win the Premier League. We get a penalty, and only Bastian or Matteo are eligible for some reason to take it. Says at Luis Figo. Who do we give it to? It's got to be.
He still give it to Bastian.
Yeah. Matteo Darmian. Why didn't Buffon take one before Darmian? Wouldn't you definitely put Buffon up there before Darmian?
I'd have put Neuer up before most of the German side. I mean, he's going to spank one into the top corner, no doubt.
I mean, Buffon thing was kind of a joke, but I literally expected Neuer to take the 6th penalty, really. Was kind of surprised he didn't take the 5th one. Mm-hmm. Tom Mortimer, friend of the show, says, if you had to do the thing every expert tells you not to do and buy one player off the back of these Euros, who would it be? But I'm going to add a caveat to that, which it can't be someone you would have bought anyway. So you can't just say like Gareth Bale because he's having a good tournament. It's got to be someone you didn't necessarily know about or has only been really good in this tournament. I'm going to go with Joe Allen. It's superb, exactly what we need. The Joe Allen from the last 3 games, I would slot straight into that United midfield.
Yeah, I'm going to bet quite a lot of money that he will not be that good next season.
Oh, obviously. Obviously. Have you got one? Is there anyone who you've really enjoyed watching?
Well, all the Italian defenders. Am I allowed to pick one of those? Cellini.
No, but it's hardly going out on a limb to go, Juventus' amazing back 3 that have led them to multiple Serie A titles and the Champions League final. Oh, they've had a good tournament. Let's pick them. If you've got to have an Italian, you've got to have Ed Air or Giaccherini or someone.
No, but they're awful.
They are, but they've had good tournaments. All right.
I don't think, actually, I think my silence here is because there hasn't really been a breakout star.
Right.
Has there?
Blaszczykowski was really good for...
But he was great at the last Euros as well.
Yeah, this is true, yeah. No, I think you might... Payet, I guess. I'd say...
But we knew a lot about him.
From this season just gone, yeah. But yeah. I don't think we knew that he would have a kind of team running role for France in this tournament. I definitely wasn't expecting that anyway.
No, and we weren't sure whether he'd get a game on the left versus Tony Martial, did we?
Yeah, absolutely. So at 24_ID78 says Pogba, yes or no?
Yes.
I mean, if it's is he coming, I think probably no. If it's do I want him to come, I mean, what? Yes. Okay. At Bridgman Bear says, I also friend of the show, says Iceland are to Euro 2016 as whom are to what? And I've just included this question to push my political agenda again. It's as Boris Johnson is to the country. It's like knocked England out of Europe and then just gone.
There's some Machiavellian politics going on there, talking of Giggs, Mourinho, LVG, Moyes.
Magic, innit? Can't believe the Labour Party have decided, I know what we should do at this time of, like, massive crisis. Let's implode, that'll help.
Yeah, true, but they'd be getting rid of their fraud of a leader.
Don't push your right-wing agenda around here, Ed.
Ouch.
At Muffin Man 1989 says, who would you guys pick as the next England manager? So we've hardly talked about England for a reason. I mean, they were just atrocious, and Roy Hodgson's got to take a lot of that blame.
Alex Ferguson, he's not doing much these days.
I mean, I've got one answer to this question, and I mean it. This is not a joke. This is not ironic. It's so clearly obvious that Sam Allardyce should be the England manager. Like, a bunch of kind of, he'll get them performing slightly above their level.
But you know exactly what will happen, because look at their qualifying group. It's rubbish. I mean, the best team might be Scotland or Slovakia. England are going to qualify for World Cup 2018. It's almost impossible not to qualify.
And with Sam Allardyce in charge,
they'll go out in the group stages having lost all three.
No way Sam Allardyce loses 3 group games. He lives for narrowly scraping league results. Like, England would definitely get to the quarterfinals of the 2018 World Cup if Sam Allardyce was in charge. And that should be the level that England are aspiring to now, because they've been an utter disaster for tournament after tournament now. 3 in a row, is it? They didn't qualify for 2008, that's a disaster. So a disaster in 2010, a disaster in 2012, a disaster in 2014, and a disaster this time. It's time for Sam Allardyce.
Oh my God. How low have we sunk if that's the case?
Exactly that low.
Look, they can pay anyone, right? So there will be plenty of managers out there who will do a much better job than Allardyce. Why not Klinsmann? He's ready to quit the USA, isn't he? He did a fantastic job of turning around Germany all those years ago. He's an Anglophile.
He's not. I mean, he did do a fantastic job of turning around Germany all those years ago. Not done such a fantastic job with the United States, really, has he?
They made the semi-finals of Copa America.
That's true, actually. Yeah, no, that is true. That was big. But then they ran into Argentina.
They did. Anyway, enough of England talk.
No, but so you'd have Klinsmann, right? That's your
why not?
answer.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great choice.
I think Sam Allardyce is the obvious right man for the job. On that bombshell, since you accused me of being Partridge.
Back of the net. So is this the last Eurocast of the summer?
No, we'll do one after the final, right?
All right, I guess so.
You don't want to do one after the final?
Well, there's not much to talk about then.
We'll do the semi-finals and the final. Perfect.
All right.
And we can talk about United stuff.
Yes. Yeah. All right, we'll do that. Well, thanks for listening, and I guess we'll see you next week. Enjoy the semi-finals. And especially to our friends in Wales and Germany and Portugal, not you French boys.
Allez les bleus! Allons enfants de la patrie! Oh yeah, and for the people that haven't asked yet, this tune that you're about to hear is Mais qui est la belette? Mais qui est la belette by Manal. Everyone asks me that all the time on Twitter. Thank you, Tom, for the fantastic job editing. Thanks to everyone for listening. We'll be back with another one of these after the final.
Ah yeah.
Chante quand le loup, le renard et la belette. Chante quand le loup et le renard chantaient. Chante quand le loup, le renard et la belette. Chante quand le loup et le renard chantaient.
Et voilà, les amateurs de chambrette, les bretons qui se la pètent, les déchireurs de galettes, les bouffeurs de crêpes. Après avoir bravé bien des galères et des tempêtes, regarde bien la tête des jeunes guerriers celtes. Il y a le loup, le renard, bien sûr il y a la belette. Autocritique parfaite mais ça reste correct. Pas d'idée abjecte, c'est pour faire la fête. Voilà comment Mano avance sans se prendre la tête.
Chante dans le loup, le renard et la belette. Chante dans le loup et le renard chanter. Chante dans le loup, le renard et la belette. Chante dans le loup et le renard chanter. Mano viendra les gars, Mano viendra. C'est à ce moment-là qu'il faut lever les bras. Mano viendra les gars, Mano viendra. C'est à ce moment-là qu'il faut lever les bras.
Oh, tranquille, j'arrive et je me pose. Non, surtout pas de clause. Sur ce tempo tribal, j'ai envie de poser des proses. Tu connais le renard, mec, tu connais la belette. C'est moi qui fais cet oratoire, je suis le loup, c'est net.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.